Hi everyone and welcome back to my vlog. Today it's all about the Playroom on the Gold Coast. Whatever happened to the Playroom? Well, stay tuned and you'll find out. Obviously it was, for me anyway, it sounds like it was Queensland's most popular and iconic venue. Now why not start with the fabulous Doug Roughton in the 50s who set up a place in Coolangatta called the Greenmount Beach Kiosk. Now he had these outdoor speakers installed on the beach, and Doug, being the great character that he was, he'd kind of organised these romantic entertainment type games, and there was one in particular, the American-influenced Hokey Pokey.
All right, gang, it's Hokey Pokey time. Are you ready? Beat it out.
Now, Claude Carnell and his wife Beryl, they actually worked for Doug, and they managed the kiosk for a while and were really responsible for developing and, just taking the entertainment to the next level. They had talent quests, they had Sunday afternoon concerts, acts like Ron Rico, the hypnotist, and Claude, being a fine musician himself, was able to organise all the beach entertainment, and people just loved it. It was a lot of fun. The couple did actually start selling these fancy ice creams and fairy floss to raise money for the local surf club and the special needs place that was nearby. And in fact, Peter's Ice Cream ended up being the guarantors in building Peter's Playland. So that was really good, because that actually became the Playroom, which was next to the Currumbin Hotel. So that was the actual original site of the Playroom. Now, when the Currumbin Hotel closed, the Carnells in the mid-60s moved the Playroom to Tallabudgera near the creek. And it was at this point that, the cabaret style kind of flourished. Johnny O'Keefe was the opening star, and he did perform regularly at the Playroom. And in fact, he cut a live album in 1968 where Claude Carnell was on the introduction. And there's stories where, they had a really good relationship. So, example, Claude organised a massive 2-metre cake for his birthday and, presented Johnny O'Keefe with a gold microphone on another birthday.
And we ended up at the Playroom Cabaret. We sort of arrived there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we did the show, a 40-minute show with Johnny O'Keefe. As soon as we started playing, people got up on the dance floor immediately, because that's what you did then. And we had 3 mics hanging from the ceiling to pick up our sound, and plus the vocal mics, of course, was very primitive in those days.
And there's also some great footage of JOK on This Is Your Life, where Claude Carnell actually does make an appearance.
Claude, you launched your new club, the Playroom, at Tallabudgera on the Gold Coast with Johnny O'Keefe, and you put a very big promotion behind it. And I think that show helps you back to the top again, John.
Yes, it did. It did very much so.
Acts like the amazing Freddie Tira, the Escorts, Barry Crocker, Dinah Lee, they all kind of attracted big crowds at the Playroom. And, Beryl speaks really fondly of that period where she remembers people like Lucky Grills, the Troubadours, Peter Allen when he was young and freckle-faced, Johnny Farnham, and a really, really young Bee Gees. So, yeah, they apparently performed there in the early days. Wow. If you were there, fantastic memories. Now, the Carnell's daughter, Kaz, I saw a video, Memories of the Playroom, where she speaks really fondly of that time and, how the whole family were kind of really together in making it a success. Apparently, during one stage, people used to bring eskies and alcohol and watch 4 or 5 floor shows for a really good price. And that was before the licensing kind of came in. And in fact, Beryl Carnell was the first Queensland woman to actually get a nightclub licence.
Beryl Carnell from the Playroom. How long has the place been open?
14 years now, Don.
Your idea?
Yes, entirely.
And who would be the group you'd say that was the biggest drawing group that you've had in?
Well, in the old days, of course, the Troubadours and Johnny O'Keefe.
Yeah, Troubadours.
But currently, well, you can't beat Split Ends. Cold Chisel, Angels, My Six, Mentals, Australian Crawl, all those people work at the
They all do well.
Look, the transition from cabaret to rock and roll couldn't have been easy, and yet Beryl was just so passionate and committed that not only did it work, it was hugely successful.
She then turned it into what everyone wished was on the Gold Coast in those years, the best rock and roll venue in Australia. It was innovative, creative, and Mum was the most amazing entrepreneur. Full of fun and full of life, the bands loved to play at the Playroom.
So a lot of, Australian bands cut their teeth at Rock Central, as it was called. Bands like Cold Chisel, they'd sort of perform 2 or 3 nights in a row. In 1981, INXS played 4 nights straight. And Brett actually recounts how his mum always tried to kind of involve the media to promote the venue, and once she actually called them to say that a few wild cats were caught up in a tree, and in reality she'd set up John English with some models for the body painting competition that was held there. Another time, Beryl would organise, breakfast for punters on the New Year's Eve events, and sometimes the Gold Coast Police would finish their shifts and actually volunteer to cook it up. Amazing.
If you come New Year's Eve, of course, you'll see my six and Jimmy and the boys, and stay for ham and eggs. We run all night.
Right.
2 nights of Cold Chisel, that's Thursday and Friday, the 11th and 12th of December, and on the Saturday night, Dr. Feelgood. And on the Sunday night, Jojo, Zep and the Falcons. And for $20.
Good. $20 you get into see them.
$47 each for this plate. And that's an extra $16 each or some shit.
You buy a steak for dinner.
$50 for breakfast before coffee. Crazy times, man.
The Playroom ran everything from kickboxing tournaments to mud wrestling shows, wet t-shirt competitions, body painting nights. In fact, there's a great interview with Donnie Sutherland and Beryl where they talk about that. They had surfing events there, and, Beryl mentions Michael Gudinski was a key player that brought bands to the Gold Coast, and the Hutchinson bloke, Graham Hutchinson. And in time, Beryl did sell the Playroom, and I think it was 86, and I understand it did change hands twice and did end up with the wonderful Chris Xanthopoulos. Now, with his son Billy and Archie Cox especially, they were important people that were very instrumental in keeping the legacy of the Playroom, kind of happening. And I think Archie worked there from 92 to 95 and then bought it in 96. However, he had to fight to try and stop its closure in March 1999. Where I believe a campaign of harassment to hand the freehold over to the state government started, and unfortunately there was nothing that could be done. The last lineup of bands were the Porkers, Eskimo Joe and She Had.
We've lost a lot of our iconic live music venues. We've lost the culture and the heart in the music scene of the Gold Coast, being that we don't have the Patch that used to be a venue. There was the Jet Club, there was the old Cooley Room. We've got the Currumbins missing, obviously the Playroom, then there was Broadbeach, Bombay Rock, the Beer Garden and Surface, Fisherman's Wharf, iconic venues that had history, had character, that have all been taken away now.
Even Triple J broadcast on the roof, and bands like the Living End and the Whitlams protested loudly. However, no amount of public outcry could save the Playroom. Sadly, it was demolished.
There was rumours and stories and innuendos that the government saying we were getting compensated. My family, the Cox family, received no money from the government. It was for the 2000 Olympics, it was for this, it was for that, but it is still a car park today.
I've just spoken to a local, and he's confirmed that this car park is actually the location of the Playroom at the Gold Coast. There's a highway up there, and this is actually the site.
International bands. There are countless international bands that played at the Playroom. I've got an article with the Ramones that I found from the Queensland State Library site, I think it was. Also, you might recognise this. It's advertised as the Tourists, a UK band, but you might know them as Eurythmics. Thin Lizzy played there. The Romantics played there. So there's some articles talking about that. Lots and lots of international bands played there. Devo, George Thorogood, Hot Chocolate. Keanu Reeves actually played there with his band Dogstar. Johnny Rotten, PIL, Lemonheads, Mudhoney, The Motels, Run DMC, Rory Gallagher, Suicidal Tendencies, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley's band, XTC. In regards to Australian bands, Air Supply, The Angels, Billy Thorpe, Candy Harlots, Cold Chisel, The Cruel Sea, The Died Pretty,
Radiators, My Sex, Split Ends, Cold Chisel, AC/DC,
Divinals, Dragon, Icehouse, Horsehead.
Bands like Eurythmics.
Jimmy and the Boys, Kevin Borridge.
The Pretenders, Simple Minds, Excess, Boomtown Rats, Hot Chocolate.
My Sex, Mondo Rock, Midnight Oil, and in fact I was able to find a little article on them playing there. Powderfinger, another Queensland band, Psychotic Turnbuckles, Regurgitator, Russell Morris, Rose Tattoo, Split Ends, and there's some great photos of Beryl with Split Ends. Swanee and Cold Chisel playing, Something for Kate, The Reels, Tism, Triffids, Tumbleweed, Whitlams, many, many more.
I'll create a page sort of in memory of the Playroom and force some people to share their stories, and it didn't take long. Next thing you know, we had 500 members, then we had 1,000. There was a lot of people that wanted to share their stories and their photos about the Playroom.
Stories, anecdotes and memories. Jamie Cramp, he has some fond memories of the Playroom, and he actually set up a Facebook group, and he tells one story where he saw the Ramones at a 7-Eleven on the Gold Coast after a gig. It's just fantastic. I've got some photos of that. Gary Bavis actually stayed in the same hotel as the Ramones and hung out with them. Kings of the Sun, I wanted to mention them because they fondly recall the Playroom, and they said it had everything that a rock gig needs: blood, sweat, beers, and most importantly, great sound. So I wanted to have a shout out to Clifford, and hope you get better well soon. An ex-manager at the Playroom caught Joey Ramone about to fall from some stairs. He also climbed some fire stairs carrying a very drunk Michael Hutchins on his shoulders. And he also recalls hitting the gym with Henry Rollins, who played at the Playroom. Motorhead, they played there one night where 5 songs in, some person threw a beer can and it hit Lemmy, and apparently he actually warned that if it happened again, they'd leave. So when the second can hit the stage, the band just promptly up and left. Contiki travel groups actually visited the Playroom, and that's what the tables and chairs were there for. In fact, I was in one of those Contiki groups when I visited Queensland once, and I remember going to the Playroom to see Kevin Borridge. Now, a girl called Sophie, she worked at, her brother worked at the Playroom, and in 1984, she went to see the sound check for Split Ends, and Neil Finn apparently said, we've just released a new single, it's called Message to My Girl, and this is for you. And she was all of 13, so she has really fond memories of that. Johnny Canis booked bands in the early 90s at the Playroom. His band, the Hitmen, played there often, and as well, the Screaming Tribesmen played there a lot. He managed them between 83 and 93. Now, Michael Lawrence, in this Cold Chisel Almanac, lots of pictures and facts. Chisel supported the Ferrets, and John O'Donnell actually recalls Jimmy Barnes, all vodka, limbs and spastic abandon, being dragged out of the crowd at the Playroom during Wild Things. So I'm not sure whether that might be it there. And there is another picture here, so it may or may not be that. Yeah, excellent information in that book. Now, apparently, Carl Barron's dad, he used to be working at the pub, at the Playroom, behind the bar. So, and apparently, Carl used to get a lot of stories from his dad about the time, working at the Playroom.
Can't get drunk in a bar anymore. There's all these laws about responsible service of shit. They built those buildings so we could get drunk, and now we can't bloody get pissed. Where are you supposed to get pissed? At home by yourself, look in the mirror? Hey, Carl, want a beer? No, mate, I already got one. Thanks for asking. You're shouting bullshit, I got the last one.
Now, Ted Gardner, in that Roadies book by Stuart Coupe, says that the difference with American and Australian roadies is it's all about loving your band. So he became an equipment loader at the Playroom, and he ended up going to America and working for, Men at Work, and ended up staying there for 2 decades and co-founded the Lollapalooza Festival in 1991. Now, Rob Hurst in this book, he compares playing gigs in various parts of America like Florida with the regular gigs that Midnight Oil had at the Playroom. Yeah, so he just makes reference to that. best drummer in Australia, Rob Hurst. Now, I've got a few more newspaper articles. This one's marking the 14th birthday grand opening with a second sort of body painting competition. The best live music venue, Playroom, has been voted, and great stage and sound facilities. This book here is called Plastered. I just wanted to show you this picture of, or this poster of when Beck played at the Playroom. Book by Jane Gazzo, Australian indie, 1990 to 1999, where, look, Archie Cox, when he was managing and when he had the Playroom, he would have booked a lot of up-and-coming and fabulous artists. I think this Regurgitator one mentions the Playroom, and you can kind of get an idea of, you know, certain bands that were, you know, popular. It provided this platform for bands to just showcase their wares even before they became really successful. Bands like even Living End. And I think that song All Torn Down might have been about the Playroom, actually.
Living End, they were again another young Australian band that came through. That was the first time they ever played with us. Anyway, then, you know, 3 years later, here they are as this headlining act, and that's when the trouble with the Playroom started, and they released this song that sort of meant a lot to me and has always stuck with me.
See, more goosebumps. Archie Cox, thank you so much. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for being part of the last morning's program and sharing some of your memories of the Playroom.
So, yeah, I just wanted to pay homage to the Playroom. It's no longer there, and unfortunately, when it was sold, they had these plans to kind of make it as part of the leisure recreation centre. And I think Joni Mitchell actually, tells the story well when she sings her song about, you know, the car park. So, yeah, look, unfortunately, all we have are memories of the Playroom, and there's a dedicated Facebook group where people share lots of stories and images, and, yeah, it's just held in really high regard. So thanks to people like Beryl, Claude, Chris, Billy, Archie Cox, who tried so hard to keep it alive. Look, what can I say? It was just a magnificent venue. I only went a couple of times, but from all accounts, it was probably one of Australia's top 5 rock and roll venues. And the fact that it lasted, you know, 3 decades and transitioned from cabaret to rock and roll, I think that's what really, I have a special place for the Playroom just because of that. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear more whatever happened to rock and roll venues in Australia. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Paradise, put up a parking lot with a pink hotel, a boutique and a swinging hot spot. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Pay paradise, put up a parking lot.
Let's see it.